You don't really own your life the way you think you do. Your house. The bank owns most of it. Your car? It's financed. Your work? Controlled by someone else's system. Even your income depends on permission. The moment you stop paying, the moment you lose access, everything starts slipping away. So here's the uncomfortable question. Are we actually living in a free economic system? Or are we just part of a modern version of something much older? What if feudalism never really disappeared? What if it simply evolved? Welcome to my channel, Smart 20s. When most people hear the word feudalism, they imagine castles, kings, and knights. It feels like something distant, something that belongs in history books. But feudalism was never really about castles. It was about control. A small group of people owned the most important resource of that time, land. And land wasn't just property. It was survival. If you didn't own land, you didn't control your future. Most people didn't own anything. They worked on land they didn't own, lived under rules they didn't create, and depended on those above them for protection and stability. Their entire life was tied to something they could never fully possess. They couldn't simply leave. They couldn't build freely. They couldn't escape the system. Now fast forward to today. We like to believe its system is gone, but look a little closer. Because the structure feels familiar. There was a time when everything started to change. The Industrial Revolution broke the old model. Power shifted from land to production. Factories, machines, and businesses became the new engines of wealth. For the first time in history, people had a chance to build something of their own. You could start with nothing, work, save, and eventually own. Ownership began to spread. The middle class was created. For a moment, economic power opened up. But that moment didn't last forever, because systems of power don't disappear. Over the last few decades, something shifted again. Not suddenly, not dramatically, but slowly, quietly. The economy moved away from rewarding production and started rewarding control. Not control of factories, but control of access. Access to platforms, access to markets, access to opportunity itself. Today, you don't need to own a factory to earn money, but you do need access. Access to social media, access to online marketplaces, access to financial systems. And the question is, who owns those systems? A very small group. This is where Feudalism 2.0 begins. The structure looks modern, but the logic is ancient. A small number of people own the systems everyone else depends on. You don't own the platform. You use it. You don't own your audience. It can disappear overnight. You don't control the algorithm. It controls you. Your success exists as long as you stay inside the system. The moment you step outside, it's gone. That's not ownership. That's access. And access can always be taken away. Now, think about this for a second. If your income can disappear overnight, if your lifestyle depends on systems you don't control, then what do you actually own? And if the answer is not much, then how different is this system from the past? The biggest difference today isn't force. It's finance. Modern control doesn't come from kings or armies. It comes from death, student loans, home loans, credit cards. These shape your decisions more than you realize. They determine where you work, how long you stay, and what risks you can or cannot take. Because when you owe money, you lose flexibility. You lose options. You become tied to the system. And while individuals are taking on debt, assets are becoming more expensive. Homes, land, businesses, they're increasingly owned by institutions and large investors, which creates a powerful imbalance. Most people carry liabilities. A small group owns assets. And in any economic system, assets create. Now, add technology into this picture. This is where things become even more complex. We are now living in a digital economy. You create content. You generate data. You spend time online. But who owns that value? The platforms. They control visibility. They control reach. They control monetization. You can build an audience for years and lose it instantly. You can generate value every day, but never truly own it. This is digital dependence. And structurally, it looks very similar to something we've seen before. The tools are different. The system is not. Now let's step back and look at the bigger pattern. History shows us something very clear. When ownership spreads, society becomes more balanced. When ownership concentrates, inequality rises. And right now, ownership is concentrating again. A smaller percentage of people control more wealth than ever before, while the majority struggles to build lasting assets. This isn't random. It's a pattern, and we've seen it before. So the real question isn't, are we free? Because it feels like we are. We have choices. We have options. We have access. But the deeper question is, what are we actually on? Because ownership is what determines control. If you stop working, what remains? If you stop paying, what stays? If a platform disappears, what do you still have? The answers to these questions reveal the system you're living in. And once you understand the system, you can start thinking differently. You could stop focusing only on income and start thinking about ownership, because income keeps you running. Ownership gives you control. Even small steps matter. Investing, building assets, creating something that belongs to you. Each step reduces your dependence on someone else's system. And that's how you move differently in this economy. Feudalism didn't disappear. It evolved. It became more subtle, more advanced, more difficult to recognize. But the core idea never changed. Control what matters. And you control everything. If this made you think differently about money and the world around you, make sure to like this video, subscribe to Smart 20s, and turn on the bell icon. Because in today's world, understanding money isn't optional. It's everything.